phone. Now you can transmit that one. You no longer require 5G everywhere. All you require, a man who is coming from a 5G environment, he's been infected, now getting a virus that is now mutated, it has changed into another form, and when he gets in touch with you, now he can be fed. All that. But let me ask you something. If the 5G is active in this place, and we are all exposed, and then that gives way to a virus into our body, why should that virus only be the coronavirus? It's a very important question. 5G has done its work, compromises our immune system. Now we are exposed. Why are we only exposed to one virus, yet we have multiple viruses in the atmosphere? Why only one? Because once your immune has been tampered with, that must give access to every other virus, not just one. Why are we dealing with only one? You have to follow this. You have to follow, because this is very, very critical. Very, very critical. You know, they're saying it's 5, even 10 times better. Some are saying it's even 20 times better than the 4G. So there was the third generation, second generation, third generation. Now there's the fourth. Now they're talking about the fifth generation. You see, it's really strange. Like I've told you, this is information that you can find. But I went to God and asked him about this technology. I said, this wisdom, is it coming from you? Where did we get it wrong? So I'll teach you what he told me. I'll talk to you about that. Why they are so much afraid of the 5G is because of very few things. It's too fast. When this thing is finally introduced fully, you no longer have information that you can keep to yourself. You're exposed. Exposed. And everything that we have had, all the attacks against it, is because somebody wants to hide something. If the 5G was really dangerous, of which I believe it is, but not to this extent, because some believe that it can even roast your brain. It can cook your skin. The radiation is just too much. That's what they say. But you know that if it really was that dangerous, they were never going to talk about it. Let me ask you a very simple question. Very simple. What if, it's a question. What if the reason why the 5G is being attacked is because it is even better than the 4G and the 3G? What if they've realized that the 5G doesn't cause more diseases than the 4G? I'm asking, it's a question. What if the reason why it is being fought, it is because it causes less diseases than the frequency that you already have, the network that you have currently? It's much faster. The 4G is slower. So whatever you are downloading, instead of maybe 2 hours, maybe 1 hour, just 7 seconds, you're done. Very fast. So look at the activity that is happening around you. By the 4G, it means you need 1 hour of having interaction with these frequencies, just for you to download just, I don't know how many hour movie. So you're surrounded by here comes something that does it in 7 seconds. and the atmosphere is free from any activity, any network activity. I'm just asking you, these are very simple questions. What destroys you more, the faster one or the slower one? What keeps you in a network environment longer, the 4G or the 5G? If they are not going to release this officially, there's only one reason. Because remember, these people are wicked people. They will not stop releasing this because it kills people. They make money out of that. But if they realize that it eliminates some of the problems caused by the 4G, then they will not release it. What if it's a question? What if it is even better? After all these attacks against the 5G, finally when it comes, and then it gives people rest, and you start seeing certain diseases disappearing, and they will tell you it's because this one is better than the 4G, you will be ready for the 6G, which is the number of men. You study the book of Revelation, tells you 666. Let he who has wisdom calculate the number, for it is the number of a man. We'll get to the generation of the men. And that one you won't resist, because you have seen the goodness of the 5th generation, which was preparing you for the 6th generation. That one now, that comes after this, the 5G, is the real issue. Remember, I told you in my prophecy, I said, another one is coming. Another one is coming. You guys, if you are not sick, these people won't make money. There must be something in your environment, in your atmosphere, tampering with your inbuilt system that protects you from attacks. And that thing must always be present wherever you go, so that your lifespan is shortened. But I can assure you, these people, as evil as they are, if they realize that the 5G is better than the 4G, they will not release the 5G. So I'm asking you now, I have to repeat this question. Now, if they bring their cell towers, because they say this one, it will require more towers than the previous. Everywhere, they'll be dotted all over. Everywhere, they'll be dotted all over our cities. And meeting all these if our brothers and our sisters have already been exposed and their immune system has been destroyed, why is it that it's only one virus that is taking advantage of what the 5G has done? Preach deliverance to the captives. That's what I saw. And God said to me, look at that side. Look at that. To preach deliverance. If ever you are going to receive complete deliverance, it comes in form of preaching and teaching. I said, God. And then my wife was reading that for me. God said, look again and see. Many people and many preachers can deliver people. And we can make you to roll on the floor. But not many can teach deliverance and preach deliverance. This is the highest formula. Ladies and gentlemen, if I was somebody who was not able to cast out demons, then you would say, listen to me. We can cast demons from now. But I've realized that most preachers, pastors, evangelists, prophets, we have a mental problem ourselves. We continue doing the same thing over and over and over again. We don't look at the results. If we think people are delivered, why are they coming back tomorrow with the same problem again? Which means our formula is not the correct one. Jesus said, I'm coming to deliver the captives. But I'm not going to be laying my hands on them. I'm going to be ministering and teaching and preaching deliverance to them. Not many men of God can tell you what I'm telling you now. Because all of us, we enjoy doing that. And yet deep down inside, we know that we are wasting your time. We know that. We know that. I'm telling you this. All of us men of God, we know that it doesn't work. But we enjoy it because it demonstrates the power that I have. You see people rolling, vomiting, all that. It's good. It's good for me. So that you can know that God has anointed me not to preach, but to lay hands on you. And yet when we look at the results, so you see a demon, you have to cast it out, because Jesus commanded us to cast it out. But this is the formula now. This is the proper formula. Because if you see a demon in a person and you cast it out, you have to look at the reasons why the person was possessed in the first place. It's because of his state of mind. And if you are not going to correct that part, demons are going to repossess those same people, and you deliver them, and they are repossessed, and you deliver them, and they are repossessed. Why? Because your formula is not the Jesus formula. Makumbo takaraba, misana yakatwasuka, mbabvu dzakabatanaidzi, moyo ine mwena yakavhara, chasara indangariro dzevanhu. My prayer now is that may God raise other ministers that are ignorant of this, and let people go there. That's my prayer. That's my prayer. Let God raise other men of God that are mentally sick. Because I have read, listen to me. Listen to me. That's why it's really hard to die so. Ndikuda number idzike, ndikuda quality pano. Mwari wandinoparidza ngamutse vamwe venyu mukatumu.
vane hutsi. Hey, whoa, yeah, live an open life.
And a warm welcome to this international online special Sunday service. Wow, we are excited. The word special really has been a subject we've been discussing ever since we saw the adverts that came out earlier this week concerning this day that has finally arrived. Thank you so much for logging in. We are looking forward to what the Lord has for us this special Sunday service. Now, gather people around, gather your family, let people know. Share this and let them know that we have a special Sunday service today. I'm Pastor Kwaramba, joined by Pastor Chikuni, and in a few moments we will be introducing the voice. Pastor Chikuni, special Sunday service.
It's always an amazing time when the voice says that, and he really says that. When you're here, I think the first important thing that people need to consider
Wherever you go, you carry the presence of God. God is my source of information. Jesus can cause things to happen within seconds and minutes. This gospel is everlasting. There is a strong blessing in this place. I see your way clear. God is going to give you peace, extreme peace. God is going to give you joy, serious joy. God is going to give you money. We are talking of serious money. This is what God is going to be doing for you this year.
I'm continuing from where I left last Tuesday, unlocking value. We're talking about what? Let's try again. Unlocking what? So today we are going to have a different scripture. Let's go to the book of Mark chapter number 10. Mark chapter 10, and from verse healing. He didn't go his way, he followed Jesus' way. You may be seated. You may be seated. You may take your seat. You know, there is always something in the Word of God very, very profound, very, very powerful. After he got his miracle, the next test that he got, he never got it from his relatives, he got it from Jesus himself. He was given an opportunity by Jesus to leave him.
Now that you are blessed, 5, immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus in the way. If God gives me enough time today, I will try to come back to verse number 51 and really explain to you what I mean by Jesus answering him. It appears as if this man has been crying and crying and crying. It is now time for Jesus to answer. That's not what the writer is talking about. Give me time to work on it. Let's look at verse number 52, the last verse, and then we'll get into the teaching of today. Verse number 52. And Jesus said unto him, Go thy way, thy faith hath made thee whole. And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus in the way. Before you take your seat, please, I want you to notice something in verse number 52. And Jesus said unto him, Go thy way. And when he was healed, he followed Jesus on the way. Jesus said unto him, Now that you are about to get your healing, you can go your way. But as soon as he got his healing, he didn't go his way, he followed Jesus' way. You may be seated. You may be seated. You may take your seat. You know, there is always something in the Word of God, very, very profound, very, very powerful. After he got his miracle, the next test that he got, he never got it from his relatives, he got it from Jesus himself. He was given an opportunity by Jesus to leave him. Now that you are blessed, find your own way. It was a test after he got his miracle. And so many people are given that opportunity by God to leave him. After he finishes blessing them. Keep on focusing, keep on focusing, keep on focusing. It was a test. The moment this man got his miracle, Jesus wanted them to find out whether it was just the miracle that he was desperate for. He was in need of the Messiah himself. I've given you sight, now you can go your way. And then he realized that he didn't have any way. Why should you be deceived? It's a test that is coming your way right now. You didn't have a way. You are blind. You didn't have any formula. After God blesses you, never leave his presence. Talk to somebody next to you, please. Never leave the presence of God. Never leave the presence of God. Imagine when he was given an opportunity to go his own ways and begin to experiment. He said, no ways. I will follow you on your way. Which means Jesus' way is always the most perfect way that you can follow. Now that you see, be very careful, because God is about to open your eyes. You need to be very careful and realize that you didn't have a way. You don't have a way unless Jesus gives you
a way. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And it is the greatest test when a way is giving you an opportunity to find another way. That's the greatest test that God can give to you from now. Now that God is about to open your eyes, be very careful never to leave the presence of God. Can I talk to somebody here? As Jesus was coming out of a city called Jericho, this miracle, it is important that you understand that it was performed not when Jesus was coming in, but when Jesus was walking out of the city of Jericho. It is a miracle performed by Jesus on his way out of the city. When he had finished doing everything, there was no more business left for him to perform. He's going out of the city, believing that everybody that was in need of a miracle got his miracle. And now he's ready to depart. And yet there is still somebody in that same city who had an issue. And Jesus was walking out of Jericho. And great numbers were following him. Multitudes of people, including his disciples, were there. And there was this man, we are not given his name. What we have in the Word of God is not even his name. This man was blind. And the next thing that we hear it is that he was the son of Timaeus. I don't know why they didn't research on his name. But normally it happens everywhere you go that people will convert your situation into your name. What you go through, they will give it back to you as a name. This gentleman was not called Bartimaeus or Bartimaeus. The way we pronounce it is the reason why we don't quickly understand what the writer is talking about. This man referred to as Bartimaeus or Bartimaeus, we are only given the name of his father. His father was called Timaeus. Bar means the son of. Just like when Jesus said, Simon Bar Jonah, he is saying Simon the son of Jonah. So Bartimaeus is not a name, it means son of Timaeus. So the Bible is telling us that, the Bible is saying, Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, is just repeating the same thing. It's just son of Timaeus, the son of Timaeus. Are we together on that one? So there is no name there. Bartimaeus, it means the son of Timaeus. He was blind. He was blind. He was blind. If they are still talking about your father during your presence, wait until God visits you right now. Because somebody here is about to take over the name of your generation. This man was blind.
And he was sitting at a very strategic place. He was sitting at a highway. And what was he doing there? Begging, asking for alms. He was there to get only one thing, and that is money. Today I'm going to work on Africa like I've never done before. Africa. Oh, my way, my way, my way. Africa, when you're dealing with a demon of Africa, you don't use a screwdriver, you need a hammer. You need a bobojan. Sit down, sit down. This man, he was blind and he was poor. My God, my God. He was blind and he was poor. I want to drop something here. Are you ready for it? He was not blind because he was poor. He was poor because he was blind. You need to understand that part. He was not blind because he was poor, but he was poor because he was blind. Which means his poverty was emanating from his inability to see. So if he was poor because he was blind, how come we have other people that are not blind and yet they are poor? I'll explain that. I don't want to get into an issue and then we run out of time before I can explain. Follow this. He was poor because he was blind. He wasn't blind because he was poor. He was poor because he was blind. But we have other people that are not blind and yet they are still poor. So if you find a man that is not blind, he's able to see, ask him, what are you seeing? It is not just your ability to see that breaks away poverty from you. It is what you see and what you do with what you are seeing. Because what is going to bring Africa out of this mess? It is not just the ability to discover what we have. It is the ability to put into good use what we have already discovered. Seeing is one thing, but your perception, what are you seeing? If you are not able to explain what you are seeing, it means you are still in the same category. You are still blind. Which is the reason why we are poor. Our poverty is coming from our health condition. We are sick financially because we are visually sick. If we can get to correct our vision, then we can get to correct our finances. He was poor because he was blind. The rest of the people that are able to see and yet they are still poor, ask them, what are you seeing? You realize that they are as good as blind or as bad as blind. What are you seeing? What are you seeing? Can I give you an illustration here? Do you know that when you are driving your vehicle in the night, do you know that it is easier for you to see a rabbit in the road than to see an elephant? Do you know it is easier for you to realize that there is a rabbit on the highway than to notice an elephant? It becomes too big to be noticed. And this is exactly what happens in your life, especially when God is showing you bigger future, or when God is promising you, no. Listen, listen. Most of you, this is why you are now in a state of confusion. The things that you are able to see right now about your life are just the small things. The bigger things you are not able to see. Why? Because the bigger it gets, your eyes become small. We need to work on your focus and work on your vision tonight before you leave this place. My God, sit down. What is coming ahead of you is bigger than a rabbit that you are seeing. Somebody here is about to get an elephant blessing. Though you cannot see it right now, but I promise you in the next few seconds, you are going to bump into it. That devil is a liar. We cannot remain like this. Our situation has to change. I said your situation has to change. My God. My God. My God. Am I talking to somebody here? My God. Am I talking to somebody here? So he was there. Begging for bread. Along the highway. Waiting on the major roads. Where people from far away are coming through. Relying on what other nations should bring into your nation. He was there. And the problem was coming from his blindness. People are supposed to open their eyes, you know. No. I heard a certain story. Sit down, let me tell you what I heard. I heard a certain story. There was this man of God. I heard. It was at a funeral. And somebody was being buried there. And he got an opportunity to minister at a funeral. And then he started quoting some of my sermons. And he said, like some of these messages that you're now hearing from some of these guys, that you need a car, you need a house, you need this and you need that. Now tell me, this guy that you are now burying, where is his car? What makes you think that cars are very important? Look at this guy. All this time you were talking about cars. Where is his car right now? And some other blind people there were clapping their hands. I don't have a problem with that. But my issue is this. When he finished ministering, he went into his car. Now, I don't understand. I wish somebody should have just stolen his car keys. And when he's busy looking for his keys, you remind him of his sermon. You don't need that. You see. I don't understand. Some of the messages that make sense to certain people, they are senseless. We celebrate when a demon of Africa is being crowned. Hello. Sit down. Jesus is coming out of Jericho. I've given you a history about Jericho from the book of Joshua chapter number 6 and verse number 26. After they had besieged the city of Jericho, and Joshua commanded by the name of the Lord that if any man rises up to build the city of Jericho, he shall lose his firstborn at the foundation and his lastborn at the setting up of the gates. Are you following? Which means there was a curse pronounced over the city of Jericho. And you go to the book of 1 Kings chapter number 16 and verse 34. During the reign of Ahab, a man by the name of Hiel, a business tycoon, a property developer, a guy who was into real estate, took it upon himself to reconstruct the city of Jericho, not realizing that there was a curse pronounced by a man of God over that city. And as he was doing that, at the foundation, Abiram, the firstborn, died. At the end of the construction, Segub, the lastborn, also died. These were not the only sons that died. In between, the rest of the people, the rest of his sons were dying. Which means this curse, even after 400 years, it was still there, waiting for one man to rise up and to get into a building project. And it was ready to fight him. Notice how demons will fight you the moment you begin to build. Building. Just begin from now. Just begin to work on a structure some way and find out how many demons will come after you. Move around, drive around. You can see open spaces everywhere. It's not a problem as long as you are not doing anything there. Just apply for that piece of land and start building something. And the curse will be activated against you and against your firstborn and against your lastborn. There is a demon that fights infrastructure in Africa. As he was trying to do that, right now, your situation is even better. You think you have problems? Start building your personal house. Just start working on a project right now and you'll see that we are not different from Jericho. We are not different from Jericho. And Jesus came into the same city. There are so many issues that you find in Jericho. The waters were bitter, even in the Old Testament during the time of Elisha. The waters were bitter. There are so many issues in that city. As Elisha was moving out of the city, the sons of the prophets came to him and they were crying, "Men of God, the city, you see it right now, it is so beautiful, but the waters are bitter." Why do we have the ministry of defense in heaven? Why do we need defense in heaven? Do you mean God is not anointed? Sit down. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. Let me just drop it. I want to show you something that it doesn't matter. It's God's plan to make sure that every time when you try to push towards a certain goal, there has to be resistance to test you whether you are really desperate or you're just playing jokes. Are you really desperate for change? Are you desperate for your miracle? This man was a citizen of that city, of that nation, Jericho. And he's there. He's there. He's blind. Apart from being blind, he's a member of a disadvantaged community. The city is operating under a curse, which means even if you are to open your eyes right now, what you're going to see is a curse. You are in a city where development is being fought left, right, and center. And Jesus, when he heard this man cry, Jesus just stood there and he ordered him to be called. Let him come. Let him come. Let him come. Let him come. And the same people that were trying to stop him, they went back to him and they said, "Be of good cheer. He is calling you, come." The people that were fighting you in the past, they are going to help you. Say, the same people that were fighting your success, they are going to come and join you. Can I talk to somebody here? Can I talk to somebody here? Jesus is addressing a problem. There is a cursed man living in a cursed community. And Jesus, when he called this man to come, this man immediately, the Bible says, he threw away his garment and ran to Jesus. Before he could get a miracle from Jesus, he was supposed to throw away certain policies. You need to understand that this was his only covering. Which means even if Jesus was not going to be able to heal him, it means this man was left exposed forever. Which means he was supposed to throw away everything that he used to rely on. We have tried everything and nothing is working. And he threw away the garment before he got his miracle. That's why he finally got it. Are you ready to part with your old-fashioned way of doing things in Africa? Before a miracle can be performed, how many things are you willing to throw away as a sign that you are ready for this miracle? Sit down, let me show you something. Let me show you something. This garment, it is believed that during that time, the moment you become a beggar, you were supposed to be a registered beggar. You are supposed to be acknowledged and accepted as one. You don't just go around begging, asking money from people unless you are certified. You needed a certificate from the maybe United Nations or what, I don't know. But you needed a certificate. What qualifies you to be given? And what they would give to you was a certificate, number one, and number two, they would give you an attire. So that when you are moving around, even before you can ask for money, they know you are here for something. You don't just go around. The moment they see you coming into their country, they know. So they would give you a jacket. Which means you are now authorized to beg. When you see somebody without that jacket and asking money from you, you will know that he's an imposter. That is why it is not normal to get guys coming from America to borrow money from Zimbabwe, but it's normal. When you're coming from Zimbabwe, going to America to borrow money, why? Because we have been given a jacket. We have been acknowledged. We have been ordained. We are authorized to be given. We have all the rights to get international assistance. Oh, let me talk to. Please sit down. Let me show you something. Because am I talking to somebody here? I need you to understand the reason why we are broke, all the African countries, or the majority of them. There is a reason. Blindness. Sit down. I was watching a certain documentary. You know, man of God, what shocked me? It was an African documentary. And there were poachers in a certain place here in Africa. And they would kill baboons and chimpanzees, gorillas. They were slaughtering them. And they were leaving the younger ones unattended. And in that documentary, I almost cried. I saw whites, Indians, coming from far away into Africa to adopt the children of these gorillas and filling in some forms, promising that they're going to take good care of them, taking them back to their developed countries. Baboons, because the mother has been killed, coming to adopt baboons. And I saw them wearing diapers, pampers, giving them porridge, pushing them in premas. Not willing to adopt even one child from Somalia. Why are they coming to adopt our monkeys here? It's a sign that they are willing to get anything out of Africa except Africans. Why are you coming to help our baboons? They are interested in our resources. Africa, open your eyes and see. That's the problem. You know, when you're blind, you go through a lot of harassment. Sit down. When you're blind, when they call you it's time for breakfast, you don't come until somebody comes to hold your head, which means you can't move unless you get aid from somebody. Breakfast is there, already set, but lack of vision requires that you get somebody to lead you into your inheritance, which is already provided, because you are blind. When you're blind, sitting on the same table, all of them might be eating meat and they'll give you vegetables. You can smell it, but you can't touch it because you are blind. What they are giving you is not aid at all. Let me tell you what it is. Do you know that in the Bible that you are carrying, some of you think some of these things are just here to play games. Listen, do you know that there is actually a scripture in the Bible? There is a scripture in the Bible that says land should never be sold. Leviticus. Let's go there. Look at Leviticus chapter number 25. Leviticus 25, verse number 23. Let's read it together. 1, 2, go. Stop. Stop. You see, it's a God-given policy. I don't know, do we have people here? Do I have people in this house? Africa. You have got only two problems. You can't see, and even when you see, you don't know what to do with what you're seeing. levels of corruption. Everybody, everywhere, as long as you are in Africa, everybody is fighting corruption, including the most corrupt people. Everybody is fighting corruption in Africa. Sit down, please. And listen. If you begin to look into some of the most richest countries, we are part of them. We are part of them. Mozambique is blessed. Zambia is blessed. Botswana is blessed. Zimbabwe is blessed. South Africa is blessed. Let's open our eyes. Do you know that even if you are complaining about corruption here, the situation in our country is bad. Even if you want to be corrupt, you can't really be successful because there is nothing. But do you know that there are countries like Nigeria where a minister can steal $1 billion? One man stealing $1 billion. One. What are you saying? The levels of corruption, you will notice that. Even the judiciary system is not even there. You go to certain places, I personally have been there. You go to certain places, certain villages, where people there, right from the grandparent to the current parent, not even one of them has ever been to school. When a child is born, a child that is born yesterday can be accused of being a witch the following day. And the chief of that village, who has never been to school, he knows nothing about human rights, he can sentence that innocent baby to death. And your child can be slaughtered, your child can be killed. You don't even make a police report. You don't sue anybody. What kind of a country is that? Where people can kill each other in a village. Yet we have oil flowing everywhere. What is this in Africa? What is this in Africa? Is somebody there? They don't even realize. Let me tell you something that will shock you. They don't even realize that the God that we serve is going to judge every man individually. Every man given a responsibility by God, you shall be answerable very soon. Very soon. Abusing and misusing of funds. Billion. 2 or 3 billion, an individual. What they don't realize there is this. Listen, do you know that? Let me tell you how God is going to deal with it. Listen. If God puts you into a position where you become a minister of something, right? Let's say God has given you a responsibility. You are in charge of roads, construction of roads. And by the grace of God, you receive aid. to construct your road from point A to point C. And then you construct the road from point A to point B. And then as the person is driving from point B to point C, there is a pothole. And he bumps into that pothole, and the car somersaults 4 times, and everybody dies. The blood of all those people will be put into that minister's account. When you are a minister of energy, minister of power, and there is money coming that is supposed to be channeled towards electricity, and it is diverted into many other uses, and there is a certain place where criminals are taking advantage of darkness, every person that is going to die there, his blood, her blood, will be put into your account. If you become a minister of health and you are receiving money to buy medicine, and the money is not put into that, and people are dying in hospitals, every patient that dies there is put into your account. I'm not just talking about politicians here, even pastors. When God calls you to be a pastor and you arrange conferences and you are preaching nonsense and wasting people's time, as people are going back and they are attacked by thieves and they die coming from your service, wasting their time, those people shall be put into your account as a man of God. You see people driving hundreds of kilometers going for conferences where there is nothing happening. Pastors, bishops, prophets, evangelists, they have become experts in wasting people's time. You are there. The first day, there's nothing happening. The second day, there's nothing happening. The third day, there's nothing happening. The fourth day, there's nothing happening. And people are closing in prayer. Why are you closing? Nothing was open. Why are you closing in prayer? Why are you closing in prayer? And people are dying on their way back. You shall be answerable. Am I talking to somebody here? Because the demon of Africa is working everywhere, even in churches. Sit down. Sit down. Churches are wasting people's time. The man of God is wasting your time. Busy mentioning other preachers' names. We are here to hear what God is saying about us, not about him. From Genesis up to Revelations, you have got the likes of Aaron, Moses, Elijah, all these, you have finished them. You jump out of the Bible and you begin to talk about other preachers. Why do you allow people to waste your time? It's because you are blind. You are blind. You go to those places and it's happening every time and people keep on coming because they are blind. The moment you open your eyes and you begin to see, you become a suspect. That's why my greatest enemies are not even politicians. Those ones are my friends. But religious people. The moment you open your eyes and you begin to see, you become a threat. Because Africa is for the blind. The moment you open your eyes and begin to say, I can see, this is a tree, they will excommunicate you. It's a cry to open your eyes in Africa. Jericho. And Jesus stood and he said, let him come. It wasn't easy for him. My God. And this man, these people had to also help him to go to Jesus. Still screaming and shouting. And Jesus answered him. When you're desperate, Jesus will answer you. What do you want me to do for you? Africa, talk to me. What do you want me to do for you? This is Jesus. And he knew that if I'm to talk about money, I'm going to lose it. Because all this time, money is what I have been receiving. But money has never changed my political situation. Give me sight. Give me sight, give me sight, give me sight, give me sight. Give me sight. Give me sight, give me sight. He knows that the moment I will begin to see, I will know what to do. I'm poor because I'm blind. I'm poor because I'm blind. I'm poor because I'm blind. When you finally get an opportunity to get help, go for the best. Africa. It is true, no nation, no country can survive on its own. You need connections and relationships. But in as much as you are given an opportunity to ask for anything, be careful never to ask for money. Ask for the vision. Ask for the documentation. What made them to be in that position of even helping you? Ask them to open your eyes. Money. In the book of Acts chapter number 3, verse number 2, here comes Peter and John to a place called Beautiful. And there is a qualified beggar. He never walked from his mother's womb. Never even staggered. He's sitting there on a daily basis to receive money from people, money from people, money from people. Until Peter and John came and they said to him, "Sir, if it is about money, forget. You have been receiving money ever since. What you need right now is the machinery." If I can get you to walk, what you need is, sit down, let me say something before I can close. They say to him, silver and gold have we none, but such as we have, give I thee. Rise up and walk. What you need is not money. Africa, you have been sitting there for a very long time, collecting money. This time, what you need is not even money. You need the only thing that can take you from that beautiful gate. When you are given the power to walk, which means Peter said to this man, I'm ready to minister to you, but Mr. Treasurer, look at me, Mr. Treasurer, I'm not going to minister to you, I'm going to minister to the Minister of Transport. The reason why you are broke and sitting there is because you can't walk. Your machines are down. Rise up and walk. If you get oil from there, if you get Tanzanite stone from there, from Tanzania, if you get diamond from Zimbabwe gold, and you give them what you have, why is it easy for them to give you money? It means they are not in need of money. Open your eyes. Why? Let us look and find out what exactly is it that they don't want to exchange with. Why are we getting money? Africa. You go there right now, you find that there are certain shopping malls that when you get there, you have to make sure that all of you have got cell phones. By the time you finish doing your shopping, you have to be calling each other. You can't find each other in a shopping mall. That's what you don't have here. Jericho, your infrastructure is down. When you can get something that they want, get something that you want from them. Africa! Africa. If they are desperate for your oil, if they are desperate for your stones, let them give you machines. Because always getting money from them, it's a Judas Iscariot policy. He didn't want the poor to be given oil. He said, let's sell the oil and give them money. Knowing that as long as you continue giving money to the poor, he will never rise up. He will continue begging for more. In fact, the moment you begin to beg for money, the more you get it, the more you keep on coming back. The more you get it, the earlier you come tomorrow. You want our oil. You want our oil. We heard that you have got bullet trains. And you know our problem here is that we can't walk. We are sitting here at this beautiful gate, begging. We are waiting here for somebody who can give us not just money, but restore our walking ability. Am I talking to partners here? Is this what we are supposed to be talking about during partnership services? Let them come and revive our industries. So, listen. Okay. Come on. Listen. 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 You know, because you see these flies here. These are stones, right? Precious stones that God has given to us. And you know that the fact that you have them here doesn't mean that they are found everywhere. There is somebody who is desperately in need of these stones. And the moment you begin to pick them, you pick them. Let me tell you something. I remember, sit down. There's a story. I remember we would go to this place. I like fishing. So we would go to this place. There was a very small dam. There was a lot of fish. So we would go there and fish from morning up to evening with my very close partner. So we're fishing. And from the time we realized that there is fish there, oh my God, we were going there every day. And we were coming back home with hundreds and hundreds of fish. All the containers were full. And because of that level of performance, tomorrow again, we are fishing in the same day. We kept on doing that. And we realized that things were now changing. And this other time, we spent the whole day and we caught nothing. And this, my faithful partner, he said to me, how come these fish are not biting anymore? And I said, how can they bite when they are no longer here? It's amazing how we don't realize that the more we are fishing, the more we are depopulating the dam. And now we were surprised. How come nothing is coming out? It has already come out. So I'm talking parables here. So listen. So as you keep on picking the stones, you will notice that the reservoirs are running dry. Now, so you have to open your eyes and do what is right when you still have a chance to do what is right. So imagine. Because as we keep on extracting stones from the ground, and we give them stones, and we get agriculture machines, right? Not money, machines. So as we keep on extracting from the ground and giving it to them, we are getting something here. Because even if we are going to run out of stones, we are still never going to run out of the soil. You can take all the gold out of the ground, but still you can plant something on the same ground and get something. So when every other thing has been bought away, you are still left with another reliable source of revenue. Am I talking to somebody here? 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 We are just like Israel, good at farming. That's what God has given to us. Right? We should have a university just for that. That's our area. Just for that. Not talking about small schools. No. I'm talking about serious things here. By the time we realize that the stones are gone, we have skyscrapers. Our city has been expanded. Our industry is functional. So even when the stones are gone, we still have something. We have been given the ability to walk. And still, you will notice there is the same principle again on that guy. When he was healed, he was able to walk. He walked into the house of God. Because that's where your answer is coming from. Don't find another way after receiving a miracle from God. All of you here, you don't need money. You don't need money. You don't need money. You don't need money. Africa, you don't need money. Money will never set you free. Do you know? Sit down. Let me show you something, then we close. Am I wasting your time like... Okay. Do you know that God gave them a law that they should never sell their land? And that law was not given to every other nation, but it was only given to God's people. Every other nation can sell, but God's people should never sell their land. But every other nation, you can do that. Do you know there is something that happened in Egypt? When there was famine for 7 years, people were coming to buy wheat, maize, soybeans, rice, from Joseph, because now Joseph was the administrator, and they are coming to him to buy. And what are they bringing? Money. And what are they getting? Maize. And until the money was finished, because the moment you keep on bringing it, you will run out of it. It's a principle. Please, we need to understand that. So they kept on bringing money, bringing money, bringing money, until money failed in Egypt. That's in Genesis chapter number 47. Genesis 47, we read even from verse number 15. Money failed in Egypt, which means money can fail a nation. And when money failed, they came back to Joseph and they said, why should we die in your presence? We have got cattle. And Joseph said, okay, give me cattle and I will give you the maize. I will give you the wheat. As they kept on bringing the cattle, they ran out of cattle. They came back again. They said, why should we die? We've got goats. They kept on bringing goats, until goats were not found anywhere. And still, poverty was on. Drought was on. And finally, they came and they said, we have got nothing left. The money is gone. Our livestock is gone. Now, we have come to exchange ourselves and to give you our land. And Joseph said, then I will buy your land from you, but not giving you money. I will give you wheat. I will give you soya beans. I will give you rice and maize in exchange, and I will be buying your land. And the Bible says, and every land was bought for Pharaoh. You see, when money fails, they had to resort to the most precious thing, and that is land. Listen. And every piece of land that you would see, it now belongs to Pharaoh. And Joseph said, from now, we are going to give you seed. Plant into those fields, but they are no longer your fields. By the time you harvest, you bring 50%. Because the land is no longer yours. So as you are tilling the ground and digging the ground, it's no longer your piece of land. It belongs to somebody. You are now a slave in your own country and in your own piece of land. Africa, no matter how broke you become, never sell the only source of income that you have. Most of you are looking at me like this. You are good at selling properties, most of you. You buy a piece of land today, tomorrow you sell it. You buy another one, tomorrow you sell it. You are good at selling. I remember when I was growing up, this is one thing my father used to tell me. That's what he was telling me. There are people like that. A television that is recently bought, you can't switch it on more than 7 times. It's already on sale. vana vanodzoka kuchikoro vachimhanyira purogiramu yayo yemakatuni vanoona pane chipikiri chetewo tv yakatengeswa yakaenda. Purogiramu yaenda netv. Whatever you do in Africa, keep what God has given you. That is not love. That is not love. When you see them coming here in this country, they are not coming here for nothing. It's not like they love the country. They don't love the people. They are desperate for what you have. Desperate for what you have. So, you see, there were so many. Right now, we are left with just a few here. They were all over some few minutes ago. We were very rich, very prosperous. Flying everywhere, but within minutes. Within minutes. Which means we should have used them when they were still available. To get something that will stay even after they are gone. Let's have hospitals. Let's have schools. Money will never get us anywhere. Get $1 billion, get $7 billion, get $20 billion right now. You will see. You will see. It's not money. Let's get something that we cannot put into the pot and cook it. Mabauti, that's what I'm about away. Simbi, it's a big cake. Am I talking to Africa here? Unlocking the value. Unlocking value. Don't just sit there and stand there and you're thinking maybe it's just talking about the country. Remember, you are as good as this ground. Inside of your flesh, inside of this dust, there are precious minerals. Unlock the value. What are you exchanging it for? Don't allow your company to be giving you money every month. Ask for the restoration of your sight. You should see how they are doing it. This beggarly mentality should leave, especially Zimbabweans. Kubongo mora yo. Why are you crying? Why are you crying? Why are you crying? Why are you crying? I'm telling you this. You need to understand it. Because if you don't get it, I'm telling you, you'll be in trouble. It doesn't matter. God is going to elevate you. One of these days, you become a politician. If you don't follow some of these principles, you will not last. You will not last. Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something before I close? Can I tell you something before I close? Do you know that following some of these principles, that is exactly what causes His Excellency, our President here, to have the weight that he has? I'm talking, now listen, I want you to understand this. I'm talking about weight. Any other person, anywhere, in any country can be a president. That's not the problem. I'm talking about something that you can only get from God. Weight. Weight. It cannot be copied. You will find that not just in politicians, even in men of God. There can be other men of God that can preach so well, but they are so light. There are so many countries, can I tell you? There are so many countries, I will not give you names. There are so many countries, when you see the head of state, you'll be amazed. This one, yes, this one. You mean this is the president? No integrity, no character, no what? Zimbabweans, you should learn to appreciate certain things. Wait, that one you cannot pretend it. You cannot. It comes from God. Listen to me. Inini the moment wangoziya zvokuita chete totokubhika ukatongowanikidza chawagonawo ukatongogonawo chawagona ndozvinhu zviri kushayikwa munyika izvi. Unofirira ugofirira, hapana chaunonziwo bubu wagona. Where have you seen it where you see a head of state walking into a place where there are hundreds of heads of state and the focus is on one person? Tell me, remember, there are also so many African presidents there. Why? I'm not talking about any other thing here. I'm talking about weight. If God can do that to people like him, God is giving somebody weight in this place right now. The moment you step in, uchaona kuti kana kukaitwa dare kumusha kwenyu, hakuna chinopasiswa kusvika wasvika. Urikunizwere musemuzi. Uchatoona kuti kubva nhasi manhero anaya, kana pakatofiwa kwaunoda kuti chitunha chiende ndo kwachinoswera chichienda. Chiri kungorwadza chinhu one chete. Ukatarisa kubva kwese kwatabva kusvika patasvika, Zimbabwe idambudziko kuti munhu aita chakanaka nzo mufundisi anoparidza 60 years. Anofa ari mumwena segonzo. Akanamatira vanhu, akamutsa vakafa. But hakuna akafa akamutswa anocheuka kuzoona kuti munhu akandimutsa ari kuti. That's our problem in Africa. Kunze kwenyika kungogona chinhu chemanga dhanzi, iwe takura zvimwe zvamunoita muno munyika muno kunozviitira kunzewo kunoita mari isingaitewo. Ndikupe mufananidzo. Endai kumasoka star enyu ese. Vese vane mbiri yekutamba bhora muno muZimbabwe, endai munoona pavanogara. Why? Vakaritambira muZimbabwe. Atozopukunyukawo akaritambira kunze. Saka imi majaira kuti munhu anenge angosimudzirwa naMwari obhatiza nyika oenda unoitira kunze, ina ndiende ndendiri panapa tinopedzerana ipo kuma. Tinopedzerana ipo pano. Jesus said, behold, I give you
heavens are open and your glory we see in our family. Your children are gathered in one spirit as a family. Unified family we are. Unified together we will praise our
You're watching Minister's Material with Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa.
Shall we start? Okay. Okay, let's see where we can start from. You see, it's a very, 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 very long topic. Very, very long. So I'm still wondering where exactly we should start from and trying to see what should be covered. And it's rather a very sensitive subject. You know, it's not easy to be discussing and opening up as a prophet to talk about the prophetic. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing because of number one, the language that you need to use so that you are properly understood. The language itself, it is a problem. Because when things are happening in the spirit, you see them happening, but to translate those activities into language and trying to explain spiritual activities, there is a language that is required. And apart from finding the correct language, there is need also for the listener to develop an ear that can hear. So that makes the subject very, very critical. So I will see what I can do. I will try my level best to present it before you in a way that would help maybe just 2 or 3 of you. But at least I know that would be an achievement. Even if two of you can make it to grasp and to understand what I'm going to be talking about. So do you want me to talk about the prophetic? Is it the right place to talk about the prophetic here? You know, you see, I've been here for some time now, and I've given you several topics, but this one, even my heart is beating very, very fast. I have to be honest with you, I'm not comfortable at all. At all. I wish we could just sing some songs and leave. The prophetic ministry. I saw something in the book of Kings, First Kings and Second Kings, even in the book of Chronicles. When you do a study and you do a follow-up on the school of the prophets, where there were these students that were coming and attending the School of the Prophets, where they were being trained on not only how to hear the voice of God, but how to interpret the voice of God and how to present the voice of God to the people. So many things were happening at those schools. They were in different locations. And it's believed that there were more than even 3 schools of the sons of the prophets. And the people that were lecturing there were actually prophets. They needed to be prophets themselves before they could lecture on the prophetic. Because it's really a disaster when a person who can't hear and who can't interpret the voice of God begins to lecture on such a topic. Because, and you see, people are not afraid to do that. I've heard a lot of lessons on the prophetic from people that are non-prophetic. People that cannot hear God, they can't interpret the voice of God, and yet still they talk about this ministry. But you see, I also discovered a problem with the sons of the prophets, which is a problem that which is causing me to really want to think twice, because I didn't understand why these sons of the prophets were brought to a place in the spirit, whether through the lectures that they received, whether through some form of impartation that happened. But what happened is that they were brought to a place of understanding where they could now see activities before they even happened. They were able now to prophesy. And they knew prophetically that Elijah, who was their principal, was about to be taken by God. I don't know how they saw it, whether it was through daylight revelations or whether it was vision, it was a dream, I don't know. But what I know is that they were informed by God. Their master's plan was exposed to them, maybe through a revelation or through a word or through a dream, but somehow they got to know that their master was going to be taken. And yet they never attempted to follow up on their principle. They didn't make a follow-up. They never pursued the prophet. Knowing that he was going to be taken, all they did was to prophesy about it and to advise Elisha that his master was going to be taken by the Lord. And they knew when. They said, today. And knowing that Elijah was going to depart, they never did anything to get an impartation from their master. Maybe it's because they had gotten it before, but we don't have any record of them moving into the supernatural, except that they prophesied that their master was going to be taken, or their father was going to be taken. And only one person, Elisha, who was not even part of those students, pursued, and he went after the mantle until he got it. And receiving a mantle from Elijah, it means that no one else was given that mantle. And that mantle was never going to be given to anyone. And Elijah was ready to go with his mantle. taken. And the rest of these guys were just following from a distance, and they were just looking, and I don't know what they were thinking. But even as Elisha was coming back, they were waiting afar off, just observing what was happening, but they never pursued Elijah. And they never got the mantle from Elijah. Why it would be just one person pursuing? That tells you that, you see, there is something that comes upon people when they are about to lose something very important. There is something that comes upon people when they are about to lose something important. How could they prophesy? How could they know and then still not pursue? After the grace that was upon this man, and only one man, and Elijah had to pass through all these colleges. He would enter into that school through one gate with only Elisha and come out through another exit, and there were still only two people, himself and Elisha. And yet the rest of the guys knew that he was about to be taken. So it's a problem. I don't know what made those guys to end up developing that level of maybe spiritual ignorance. I don't know. Whether it was from the topics that they were taught, or maybe from the enrollment system, how they were selected. So even up to now, I'm wondering if we are to ever have the school of the prophets. I'm still wondering on the criteria. How do we select? How do we choose? Is it every leader who should attend the school of the prophets? Is it every person who so desires to prophesy that should attend? Are we not supposed to have a selection process where even before we start teaching on the prophetic, we have to prophesy the people that should be taught? And if we are to do that, because, you know, who doesn't want to prophesy? All of us, we want to prophesy. But the problem is this now, with the school of the prophets, look at them. Look at them. Look at them. They were introduced to one level of hearing God through the ministration of the teaching that they were getting on how to prophesy, but they never pursued after the mantle. They never. So what you get as we do this is the basics, information that can help you to begin to comprehend some few things about what God is saying. But you would need to get a mantle. You would need to get an impartation at some point. And it is that mantle and that impartation that will move you to a greater level in the prophetic. And you will leave the rest of the people at a lower level of the prophetic. So that's why I'm saying I'm not really comfortable. I know the Spirit of God has already confirmed that we can talk about it. It's okay, no problem. He would want us to talk about it. The Holy Spirit wants us to talk about it. But I know that he is also as worried as I am. He is very concerned, as I am concerned as well, because it's a very complicated topic, very complicated. We can attend conferences that we call prophetic conferences, even prophetic seminars, and yet we don't even talk about the prophetic there. And it's intentional. Go everywhere. If they advertise there's going to be a prophetic what, a prophetic that, go. The best they can do there is to prophesy to you, never to teach you on how to do it yourself. It doesn't happen. It will never happen. It will never happen. So an attempt to do that, it calls for greater guts, spiritual guts. You need to know what you are doing. It might be the right thing to do, but doing it to the wrong people. So I'm still praying about it, but let's see what we can do. I'm still praying. Because I didn't want to end up giving you some little stuff that might not even work for you, and then you'll be wondering, we have implemented everything that he said, and it's not working. And I will know why it is not working, because I know that I didn't give you everything. So I don't know how you can help me. I don't know how you can help me to really bring it out the way it is. I don't know. I don't know. Can I tell you what makes it difficult for a prophet to teach on the prophetic? Would you want to know that? It's because when you teach people on the prophetic, for them to understand what you're saying, you really, really, really have to simplify it. And by simplifying the prophetic, certain individuals will end up undermining the prophetic, thinking that it's simple. And yet by making it simple, you are helping them to understand. Because if you complicate it, they will never get it. You have to simplify it, and yet by simplifying the prophetic to a person who doesn't understand, they will begin to feel as if now I think, okay, so I thought it was something very complicated. Not because the prophetic is not complicated, but it's because it has been simplified in order for you to understand. So you don't want to present something that is complicated in a simplified manner to a person who doesn't deserve to hear that complicated ministry in its simplicity, because then he will begin to think, so this ministry is not as difficult as I thought. It's a difficult ministry. It's a complicated ministry. But I will promise you, I promise, this I will have to promise, I will not tell you everything. It's a promise. I will try to keep my promise. What I will give you, you will think I've told you everything, but I promise I will not give you everything. But what I will give to you, you will be happy. It will work very well. But as of everything, we'll see. We'll see. I'll be looking at you. And I'll see whether you really want me to talk about it. The prophetic ministry. Why we need to have the grace for the prophetic. It is because God, we are dealing with a God that speaks. You see, there is something that I want you to hear, which is very, very important. You have to know the nature of God, especially if you are serving God, you have to know the God that you are serving. You have to know what he is capable of doing, which means you have to know that the God that you're serving, he is a doing God. He is a God who does things. He has an ability to do. He is a God who does things. He is the creator. From the book of Genesis chapter 1, he created. He is a doing God. So when you are serving such a God, you have to keep on appreciating that you are serving an action-packed God. He's a God of action. He's a doing God. So when you are dealing with a God that is doing, then there is a need for you to be observant.
Thank you for watching Minister's Material. Join us again next time for yet another inspirational teaching from Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa. You're watching Minister's Material with Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa.
Paying attention to what he is doing. He's a doing God. And not only is he a doing God, he is a speaking God. He's a speaking God. He speaks. And when God is doing anything, somebody has to be paying attention. Sight then plays a very significant, a very important role. You can't be serving a God who is busy doing and you can't see what he is doing. You can't. You see, Jesus, at some point, he said, what you see me doing is what I see my Father doing. So what would then move Jesus into doing? He got his motivation from observing, looking at what his Father was doing, because he's a doing God. Are we together? Are we together? So for you to know what your Father is doing in order for you to also do the same, there is a need for you to have the spiritual sight. You need to see. But for you also to be able to hear what God is saying, you need to have an ear. So if God is talking, somebody has to hear. Are we together? Somebody has to hear. I don't know so far, because this is very important. You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice, especially if the God that you are serving is a doing God. You need to be observant. You have to develop an eye that sees what he is doing. Number two, if the God that you are serving, just make sure that he doesn't talk. If he is a God who speaks, then there is a need for you. It's a must that you develop an ear that hears what he is saying. Because this God now that you are serving, he will not stop doing just simply because you can't see, and he will not stop talking simply because you can't hear. He will continue fulfilling his part, because apart from doing and speaking, he is also a faithful God. He is committed to his assignment, which is doing and speaking. And he will continue doing that. No matter on the other end of the line, there is no one who is listening, he will still talk. So not having a person who is paying attention to what God is saying, that will never stop God from talking. He will still talk, he will still speak. Until people are trained to come up to the level where the voice of God is available, and they'll begin to hear. God is a doing God. God is a speaking God. So if you now you can look at these two things that you see here, very, very important. Seeing and hearing. Those two things are really, those are qualifications. Many people, they can't see, they can't hear. And yet God still continues doing what people cannot observe. And he continues saying what people cannot hear. He will not stop simply because you can't hear. You continue talking because he is faithful to his commitment. I am a speaking God. He continues speaking. I am a doing God. He continues doing. Whether you see it or you don't see it, he continues doing. He continues doing. He continues doing. Waiting for you to develop and to come to this place where you can begin to observe what God is doing and to hear